Hey, welcome back, Ram fans. Mark from Rams Up here. Got my Rams Up rehash. Another look at this Rams win over the Cardinals. What a glorious win it was. This offense was just churning out first downs and points. By the way, Ian and I had some technical difficulties last night, having trouble recording together. So we opted just to let Ian go solo, and he is more than capable of carrying a show by himself, and he did a great job. But thought I'd share my thoughts on this game since I missed the post-game reaction. And yeah, like I said, this was a really impressive win. I was a little worried those first two Cardinal possessions. We were not having trouble stopping the run. Now it was the pass. Their two big targets, Michael Wilson and Trey McBride, rolling against us. But we figured it out. I'd love to know what adjustments they made because, it did not look good from the start, but by the time we got to the second half, the Cardinals were done offensively and defensively. So big win for the Rams and back into the number one seed, but we can't celebrate quite yet. There's some football to be played in these next two games. These 5 days in December are going to go a long way to deciding the fate of the Rams as far as the pecking order in the playoffs. Detroit coming to town and then bouncing out to Seattle for a Thursday night game. It's a tough road, but you know what? It's a tougher road for them. They have to play our Rams, and this team is humming along. So let's go through some highlights here. There's a lot to be really excited about here. 249 yards rushing. My God. Nakua, 7 catches for 167 yards and 2 TDs, and this might have been his best performance as a pro. Just hands of glue. Omar Speights, I think he may have heard some whispers behind him about that. A lot of people saying he had the wrong call and that conversion last week that the Panthers pulled off to deny us an opportunity to come back in that game. And it did look like he was at fault there, but I thought he had a really good game in coverage and tackling. He had a really good game. And time of possession, 35 plus minutes. A reversal of what we've seen recently. 30 first downs. That is crazy. And they held Arizona to 51 yards rushing. 0 turnovers, 0 sacks allowed. Well, we had 3 sacks and actually left a couple on the table again. Probably could have had 5. And then Ethan Evans on the kickoffs. He was, when asked, pulling off, they're not dirty kicks, but getting them in the landing zone around the 5-yard line. That's exactly what you want, and they had trouble fielding them. Now that could be bad news for Joshua Carty because that was the one value he added to this team potentially is that as a dirty kickoff artist. But Ethan Evans, he had one bad punt. You could tell he was unhappy with it. Didn't really cost us, but he's a guy that can kick the heck out of the ball, punting and kickoffs when asked. And now he's got that specialized kickoff pretty much, figured out. Did a really good job. So a lot to be happy with. And how about Blake Corum? Is this his breakout game? That was incredible. And, shame on me. My pregame pulse, I said, I got a gut feeling Kyren Williams, he has the Cardinals number. He's going to have a breakout game here. And he did have a breakout game 2 years ago against the Cardinals. And Blake had a very similar outing here, showing some speed, getting to the edge. Man, the Rams are in a really good spot with Blake Corum and Kyren Williams. And Kyren did have a really good game. Just a great 1-2 punch. Ronnie Rivers, not too shabby either. And I don't know, I don't know if anyone has the answer to this, but his celebration, is that a man on fire? Is that Blake Corum is on fire and rolling to put out the flames? That's what my special assistant and I, that's what we concluded. Only guessing here. Someone may have to ask Blake, but I kind of enjoyed that. And there was one point where between that and Kobe Turner spiking the ball and then searching for it, I almost felt like the Rams were having too much fun at the expense of an opponent between Blake and Kobe. But Rams took the gas off the pedal there, took the pedal took their foot off the gas pedal, I mean to say, got some subs in finally, and I was pleased to see that. I was wondering if McVay had it in him to get Jimmy G and Sean Dolak and a bunch of these guys in the game, Ronnie Rivers, and he did. Very smart move by McVay, and you have to wonder how long how much more time Coach Gannon has in Arizona. Kind of feel bad when you know that a coach's with a franchise might be coming to an end. I would have a feeling, but maybe I'm wrong, and I hope I am. And back to Puka. So this guy can block. This guy has a great attitude. He's a team guy, great character. With the ball in his hands, incredible toe touchers on the sideline. And then now he was making catches in this game. Talk about glue on his hands, just not even open in several cases, and the ball being put where he can just barely get his hands on it, and he pulls it in. Last week it was the one-armed backhanded stab catch. He had another one-handed catch, pulled it into his chest, and he had 2 or 3 catches that I was just, wow. And then yards after the catch after that, I don't think there's a receiver in the National Football League that brings everything to the table that Puka does. There just isn't. You can argue JSN or Jamar Chase is a better receiver, but I don't know, man. My money right now is on Puka Nacua. He is, man, just an incredible guy, incredible player, and he really carried the day here. And it was nice to see McVay finally give a game ball to a guy like Puka. Like I mentioned recently that let's just by default, Puka gets a game ball, right? He pretty much deserves it every game, but once in a while you actually have to give him a game ball, Sean. So good job there. It's fully supportive of that. And how about the offensive line? Man, they now a lot of it may have to do with the fact that they got 3 tight ends helping, but I don't care. This offensive line is playing really, really well. And Warren McClendon, I'd love to see his Pro Football Focus grades. I'm wondering what Ian might have to say about him, but there is no weak link here. Lyric got burnt one time last week. This week, there was a couple times Stafford had a little bit of pressure, but the running game, the power running game, and the duo blocking, man, everything is in sync with this offensive line. And I think the commentator, Jonathan Vilma, might have let it slip out that this is the best offensive line in football. I'm not sure if that's true, but Vilma may think so. Certainly one of the top 5 units right now, playing lights out. And, we'll talk about Warren McClendon and Rob Havenstein in a minute here. And the 13 personnel, some data on this. The Rams used 13 personnel. That's 1 running back, 3 tight ends on 40 of 67 snaps in Week 14 against the Cardinals, pulling this from X. The most such plays in a game by any offense since at least 2016. I guess that's when someone started collecting this data. The Rams' 19 TDs in 13 personnel this season, it's 3 in this Cardinals game, are 7 more than any other team since 2016. And we got some games to play here. So 13 personnel is setting the tone for the Rams offensively, and it's working. And it'd be interesting to see if McVay flexes to some other, maybe away from the 13 personnel, depending on who he's playing. But right now, they're rolling with it, and it is working. Hey, just a quick reminder, we are sponsored by MyBookie. You can go to their website, use promo code RAMSUP, up to $500, your first bet fully covered. Now, if you're thinking about the Rams-Lions game and you're going to take the Rams to cover, you might have missed the boat. That point spread, I think it was 2.5 before the game, before Sunday, spiked up to 3.5 Sunday afternoon, Sunday night. It's up to 5.5. I think it was 4.5 late in the evening, 5.5 last time I looked. So I'm not encouraging you to take the Lions in the points, but man, it's pretty tough to take the Rams to cover when you just lost 3 points in a matter of 48 hours. But hey, jump on there, bet responsibly, use that promo code RAMSUP, and find a game you like. Maybe not this Rams game, unless you're really confident the Rams are just going to blow them out. Now, snap counts on offense. Rams had 70 offensive snaps. Let's talk about the tight ends. Davis Allen leading the pack with 50, Colby Parkinson with 48, Terrence Ferguson with 45, and Nick Van with 11. So really mixing it up with these tight ends. They are getting a lot of snaps. Now, Van, I'm not sure if they were sprinkled in throughout the game or late in that so-called garbage time, but nonetheless, now they are taking away snaps from the wide receiver group. And who are the wide receivers after Devontae and Puka that are getting called on? Konate Munkfield actually led the group with 32 snaps, and Xavier Smith had 21, Jordan Whittington with 12. Now, what I don't know is what's the breakout as far as 13 personnel, who is out there, 3 tight ends, 1 wide receiver, who is the guy? Hey, there's an assignment for one of you listeners, gather up that data for me. I'd be interested to know, and 12 personnel as well. And then we had a second wave of guys late in the game, obviously. The 3 offensive linemen, Justin Dedich, David Quisenberry, and DJ Humphreys, finally getting a look, 12 snaps apiece. And Jimmy G and Ronnie Rivers, 12 snaps apiece as well. Would have been nice to have Jarquez Hunter in there, and someone mentioned that on X, but you don't plan on sending guys out for garbage time. You plan on who can contribute on special teams, and that is Ronnie Rivers, apparently not Jarquez Hunter. So quite the bummer. Would have been great to have Jarquez active for that situation, but didn't make sense pregame, that's for sure. And on the defensive side, 62 snaps, and our guy Cam Curl again did not miss a snap. This guy, I had that poll, which one of these 4 guys that I listed deserves some Pro Bowl recognition, and Curl needs to get more love, guys. He is a key piece of this defense, not missing a snap once again. Jalen McCullough only missed 15 snaps, and Josh Wallace only 17 snaps. This is a Quentin Lake effect, and Akilla Witherspoon slowly getting eased in, 58% of the snaps. Desjuan Johnson, 44%, and worth noting that Ty Hamilton was inactive, as was Darius Williams. So the Witherspoon uptick is partly due to that, and Johnson getting love over Ty Hamilton, which I'm not sure what's going on there. A little worrisome about what his role with the Rams is moving forward, but and that's reflected by the fact that Leroy Murchison also getting some snaps, and Murchison and Ford with 19 apiece. So they're still not giving Ford a full load, but he obviously played pretty well. We all saw it. He had some impact plays. And the 2 backup linebackers, Troy Reeder, 21 snaps, and Sean Dolak, 4. And those all came late, of course. Nate Landman sat down, had the interception, had a really good game. But nice to see our backup guys. I'd like to see more Sean Dolak, maybe even get sprinkled in here and there for Omar Speights, but that's just not how this coaching staff rolls. They have their starters and the guys that have earned snaps, and then they have a sprinkling of guys that just aren't there, more special teams, and that's where they make their contribution, and that is certainly true of Reeder and Dolak. So let's take a look at this NFC West. The Rams 10-3. They command the 5 days in December. Sunday against Detroit, Thursday against Seattle. The Seahawks, they have the Colts without Daniel Jones, and then the Rams come to town. And the 49ers, I would expect them to win 2 in a row here, Tennessee and Indianapolis. So what a race this is. And by the way, Riley Leonard, with Daniel Jones out, Riley Leonard was pegged to be the starter. Anthony Richardson's on IR, and then Riley Leonard apparently is nursing a knee injury. I think they expect him to be able to go. Nonetheless, Seahawks and 49ers getting a little lucky here with Daniel Jones out. And by the way, as I was recording, got a message here. The Colts are working out Philip Rivers, the grandfather, Philip Rivers, getting a look by the Colts. So, hey, if he can help the Colts be competitive against the Seahawks and 49ers, I'm all for it. But I'm very fortunate for the 49ers and Seahawks. Not automatic W's, nothing is, but it's a good draw for them to get the Colts at this point in the season. Do a quick data dump here. How are the Rams stacking up offensively stat-wise? Matthew Stafford leading the league in TDs with 35 now. That's 9 ahead of the next two guys, Dak Prescott and Jared Goff, 26 apiece. Stafford just 4 interceptions. Receiving yards, JSN 1,428 yards. Puka's missed a game or two, right? 1,186. He is second. Yards after catch from the receiver position, Jamar Chase 460, Puka 432. There's a bunch of running backs that have more yards after catch, and that's to be expected. Catching little swing passes. A lot of times they don't have anyone near them for 8 or 10 yards before after they make the catch, so it's not fair to compare them with receivers. Receiving TDs, Devontae 14. The next closest, T. Higgins, Amon St. Brown, and JSN 9 apiece. And by the way, Kyron Williams is 8th in rushing yards with 952. So a little more data dump here from a team's perspective. The Rams are 4th in yards per game, 373. 3rd in passing yardage, 249. 10th in rushing yards per game, 124, rounding up here, and 4th in points per game, 29.2. Worth noting that their next two opponents you could argue, are the top 2 offenses statistically in the league. That's the Seahawks and the Lions. So, and the Seahawks defense grading out very well too. So it'd be interesting to see how the Lions-Rams game, I'd expect it to be high scoring. The Rams-Seahawks game, man, who the heck knows? And then statistically, from a team perspective, Rams are 13th in yards per game allowed, 315. 15th in passing yards per game, 11th in rushing, but 3rd in points allowed per game, just 17.5. And that's a reflection of that red zone success. Now, about that pick, we'll talk real quickly. Trying to monitor this, where the Rams draft pick that they own with the Falcons is right now. Currently it's the 9th pick. So there are some mock drafts coming out. We'll get into that a little bit in a few weeks. Maybe when the Rams are having that bye week, we'll talk about some mock drafts, some early mock drafts of what the Rams might do with that, let's say, 8th or 9th pick in the draft. And the Falcons' remaining schedule, they got the Bucks, Cardinals, Rams, and Saints. So they could win a few here. I'm hoping they fall a little flat and end up with 6 wins, and then that would be that sweet spot. I don't want to get too greedy and expect them to lose out and get us in the top 5. Probably not going to happen. Although I will say, talk about Gannon in Arizona on the hot seat. Raheem Morris might also be quite the bummer. Love that guy. But it's just not working for him and the Falcons at this point. They invested a lot in defense. And, Michael Penix being hurt, he may get a pass this year because of that. His team has a ton of potential, but they have not played to the level that I'm sure the ownership was expecting. But enough about the Falcons. So great win, fantastic, very few complaints. But let's talk about a few things that worry me. And first was that opening series by the Cardinals. We just looked like we were on our heels, not knowing what the heck we're doing. Cardinals marched down, hit the 2 targets that we knew were the only guys that could hurt us, McBride and Wilson. And that was a little troublesome, but we got it figured out. And I'm not trying to be negative Nancy here, but, it was a great win. Offense played spectacular. The defense rounded into form and, played pretty darn good after these first two drives. But let's talk about a couple things. We left some sacks on the table again. And, it's a big quarterback back there, so can't be too upset about that. And then where are you, Terrence Ferguson? And, I put this on here as something I'm worried about, but in actuality, I was talking to this with my special assistant as we were watching the game together. And maybe we shouldn't be worried. They are slowly, moving him into the offense from a blocking perspective, 13 personnel, and that's good to see. I'm glad he's out there and not Nick Vanette. If Vanette was out there, I'd really be concerned. He's not getting the targets, absolutely, but the fact that he's out there and they're trusting him in the blocking game is a really good sign. And there's gonna be some opportunities down the stretch here and in the playoffs where he is going to be available. He's going to be targeted. And you know what? If that doesn't happen until next year, I'm okay with that. I think he's shown the characteristics of a great receiving tight end, a guy that can get down the field in the seam and make big plays. He's had a couple of miscues, but he's a rookie. But the most important thing is that they're starting to trust him in the blocking game, getting a lot of snaps and 13 personnel. And hey, let everybody sleep on Terrence Ferguson for a couple weeks, and he's going to hurt a team really bad. He's going to do some damage for this offense, and we just need to be patient. So, not too worried about Terrence Ferguson. He's getting snaps on with the offense. And a lot of snaps, and that's what's most important. That's the biggest indicator of what his future might be with this offense. Do a real quick injury update. I thought I'd check. Our insiders, beat reporters, be honest with you, don't do a good job on this. But just a reminder, Rob Havenstein will be available to come back week 16. I doubt that'll happen. That would be the Thursday night game. Same with Tyler Higbee. Saw him on the sideline. He looked pretty healthy, but in street clothes. And from Havenstein's perspective, I don't think there's any reason to rush him back because Warren McClendon, I know some people aren't thrilled, but I think he could be our right tackle of the future. When Havenstein's healthy, does he get his job back? Very likely, but there's no reason to rush him back at this point. I really doubt he'll be back for the Thursday night game in Seattle. And kind of the same with Tyler Higbee. He would be eligible to come off that 4-week IR for the Seattle game, but the way the tight ends are playing, Colby Parkinson doing a bit of a Tyler Higbee imitation lately, has some touchdowns, and Davis Allen playing really well, getting 2 or 3 catches here and there. So I wouldn't expect Tyler to be back for the Seattle game, but if they, of course, you have Nick Vanette on the roster, you can move on from Nick Vanette and bring Tyler Higbee back, but I just don't think there's any reason to rush. And Quentin Lake, he's the guy we really need back. I think we're missing the most, obviously. Surprise, surprise. You ask 100 Ram fans which one of these injuries is hurting this team the most. It's obviously Quentin Lake. And I think Sean McVay saying the other day he's hoping he'll be back for the playoffs. And that just makes that bye week, getting that number 1 seed and an extra week off will be gigantic for this Rams defense especially, because I think there is still something a little off overall with the defense, but we got through it against the Cardinals. A really good offense, man. This Seattle offense, Detroit offense, man, it would be really big to have Quentin Lake out there for sure. So that's my Rams Up rehash. Some final thoughts on this Rams game. Great win. This is the offense that I think Sean McVay has been striving for. He's hit this type of mark with offenses here and there. I think the 2018 season with Goff, that game against the Kansas City Chiefs and the game against the Vikings with Goff tossing the ball around was the type of offense that Sean McVay has been striving for, and we've been missing that, I think, for the most part for a couple of years. Been a good team, but not cranking out offensive production like we've seen recently. And this game was the epitome of that. It was so much fun. Again, a little boring at the end. Almost felt like varsity versus JV, but what a good sign for this team and the defense locking it up in the second half as well. Great win for the Rams. And man, got to get ready for Detroit. And Ian and I will be back with our keys to victory regarding that game, and he'll have some his film analysis out, Rams orchestrated as well. And then, man, Lions and then Seahawks. It's going to be crazy. This NFC West is off the hook, as they say out here from Rams Up.